Welcome to the squad. It's Icewater and Puma, and do us a solid. Like, comment, subscribe, share our episodes right here on YouTube channel Chocolate 108.1 WYDL. We are just getting back from Vegas. We had a great time there in Vegas. It was a sports filled weekend, a lot of other things we won't talk about, but some of the things we will share on this show. But gotta send shots out to Ice's brothers, Scotty and James, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Looking forward to the next Vegas trip. Those guys showed up and showed out. I got two newfound brothers, and man, I'm ready to get my tattoo. I'm ready to get my tattoo. But we're going to start off with talking about the saga of Shedeur Sanders. I know you've been hearing things in Ohio, in Cleveland. I don't like the way they're treating him. I always felt that Cleveland never really wanted him. And so now the last story I heard is that he wanted the number two. That was the number available. But then all of a sudden a wide receiver switched up and like, no, I want the number two out of the blue. And they're trying to give him the number 12. They're treating him like a stepchild. And my thing is, if you didn't want him, why did you pick him up? The other thing I will say about this, Tom Brady sends a text after the draft talking about, hey, I was drafted 199. Miss me, Tom Brady, because you had a chance to get him in Las Vegas Raiders. I'm really wondering how much pull you have Las Vegas Raiders, and you had a chance to get this guy. Don't try to text him and kind of mentor him now. You had your opportunity to do that. Matter of fact, is that tampering, Ice? I'll let you take that with Shedeur Sanders. I think it's tampering.
Yeah. Well, technically, he's not on the team yet, right? So, according to the media, he's not gonna make the team. He's horrible. And man, look, the main thing for me is the draft is over. I guess they're trying to teach him a lesson. The NFL was Shedeur Sanders, that is. The draft is over. Now I think they start rookie camp on Friday. So
Yeah.
he's already in Cleveland, running drills, meeting with the people in the community, just trying to get a feel for Cleveland in a sense. So I think Shedeur Sanders is all about business. And what's really throwing me for a loop is the factor that anything that I've read pretty much for the media nationally and even some folks in Cleveland are saying they don't see how there's any way he's going to be able to be on the roster when they carry four quarterbacks because they normally don't carry four quarterbacks. And there's no reason, they're not even giving statistics or anything. And then, of course, they go and say nobody this deep in the draft at quarterbacks probably made it. And then Tom Brady mentioned that he was 199. But it's just the whole premise of if you don't like him, say you don't like him. But he's coming there to work. And you think about it from the standpoint of Joe Flacco was the comeback player of the year 2 years ago, or whatever, and he's coming around doing this thing. Pickett is there. Pickett's trying to find his way, hasn't really done anything for us to impress you. Dylan Gabriel at Oregon, and there, people were talking about Dylan Gabriel. Oh, he's showing a lot of moxie because he's able to adjust to different programs. He left the programs because he wasn't having success.
Yeah.
Why do you leave that many schools?
Yeah.
If you're doing well at where you were at, do you leave? You land in Oregon, and you get an opportunity to possibly become drafted. It wasn't, he didn't leave because he was showing great moxie and intelligence. Not, he wasn't getting the job done. He wasn't. And then people need to say that. Just in general. I'm just saying, Shedeur Sanders has shown what he's capable of. He's coming there to work. I'm just blown away by the fact that what the criticism that the media has when he has to throw one ball. They start camp, I think, on Friday, rookie camp. He's not throwing one ball, but yet they're already saying there's no way in hell he's going to make it. When he was the 1 and 2 draft, 1 or 2 rated guy, the number 1 rated quarterback by Mel Kiper.
Yeah. So can I jump in real quick? And I know you want to go. You got a lot of stuff to say on this. I think the media is doing this because they know this is a hot topic. It was a hot topic for 3 days during the draft, and they want to ride this until the wheels come off. They know this is a hot topic. They want to continue to make the NFL relevant. I'm not going to pay too much attention to it because a lot of the folks that are talking probably never saw Sanders play and know how accurate he is. And so my thing is Cleveland, if you're having a problem with having this guy on your team, trade him, get rid of him, cut him, let somebody else pick him up. But Just say you don't want him, just like you said earlier, just say you don't want him. But think it's a media ploy to just get the ratings up because everybody was talking about this after the draft and why it happened. We all know why it happened. I wrote an article for the Reality of Sports that ICE is going to put out pretty soon that talked about this. We just witnessed Buck breaking at his best. It's almost like they're trying to punish him for the quote unquote sins of his father. The father came in and did everything he did, and the owners could not control Deion Sanders. He played baseball and football. He did whatever he wanted, and the owners had no control. With his son, they're trying to control. And they didn't give the Mannings this hard of a time when Archie Manning said, hey, my son's not going to play. He's not reporting. But when you have a confident father, you have a confident player, it's all about buck breaking and humiliating him and bringing him down to a level where you feel like you can control him. NFL owners want to be, especially black players, daddy. And they don't like strong fathers in professional sports to speak out for their sons. We got a whole list of strong black fathers who have stepped in and spoke up for their sons. NFL, NBA, pro sports don't like that. And so this is what they're doing, trying to cause some kind of friction. But I do think the media, and I'll let you go back and say what you want to say. The media is trying to play this to keep people watching all the different media platforms, my opinion.
No, I got you. I say real quick that the one thing I do like about Shedeur Sanders, he's in Cleveland. He's not talking. He's about handling his business and going to work. And you can say what you want to, stats and all that other stuff, but he's coming in, he's going to show his skill set. And if his skill set is where it is, then Cleveland is going to have to acknowledge it. Because if they don't, they're going to have egg on their face. And I think that's one of the things that their GM, Barry knew, and that's why he took him in the 5th round. Because he's like, you know what? Yeah, we keep letting him fall. So if he does turn out to be what we thought he was without all of the drama, right? He's going to be a steal because he'll be a 5th round pick. And the coach knows everything that they do in the system. They like to have a pocket passer who does not run around a lot, but can make great throws and on the money and precision. That is what Shedeur Sanders does. And Pittsburgh, they said, oh yeah, we're going to draft him, but we just did not have a consensus in the room. And that's fine. But we see right now where they are at in regards to hoping that Aaron Rodgers signs. But I will say this, and I'm not going to give Cleveland too much credit. They did make a move after the draft. And I think it doesn't say much to people, but I think it speaks volumes. Kenny Pickett, who they traded for, had a 5th-year option on this salary where they could have picked it up for $22 million. They declined. So next year, he'll play this year. Kenny Pickett will be a free agent next year. So if he does well and they want to resign him, he'll renegotiate. But if he does not do well, whatever the case may be, he's an unrestricted free agent. The fact that the Cleveland Browns, even though they went out and traded for him, did not pick up that option tells you whatever happens, they're ready to deal with it. They're covering themselves because why would you spend $22 million on a guarantee if you really believed in the guy you were giving the money? They don't believe. They don't believe just yet. They need to see. So I'm just saying, even though they said all that madness about what they won't do and what they weren't trying to do, they still were quietly making moves to cover that just in case Shedeur does step up and somebody else steps up and Pickett's on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I never understood that pickup for Pickens anyway. To be perfectly honest, Pickens hasn't proven anything in the NFL, in my opinion. He played with the Super Bowl team last year, filled in when Hurts went out, but he hasn't proven that he's a starter in this league, even a backup in this league, as far as I'm concerned. But my thing again, I think you said it best. Cleveland, if you don't want this guy, because it looked like during the draft he didn't want him, they didn't want him. They didn't look like they were enthusiastic to have him there. Let him go. Let him go. Let him go somewhere else. Tom Brady, not your friend. Sanders family, not your friend. You shouldn't. I hope it's a violation of him texting them that. I really hope it's a violation because Tom Brady gets away with everything. Hope it's a violation. And Pittsburgh, shut up. Shut up. You waiting for Aaron Rodgers, and that's going to be the worst possible move you can make. Please, please, please. I never thought I would say this, but I'm calling for Mike Tomlin's job at this particular point. He got to go. He just released a receiver or traded a receiver. I understand it's a problem, but you should have traded to get a better quarterback or a three-way trade to get a quarterback instead of waiting for Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is doing. Most of the fans here that are Pittsburgh Steelers fans don't know what they're doing, and so it's like this year is going to be a wash because if we're relying on Randolph to do it, this season's done. This season is done, and I don't know if Metcalf stays around because he'll have the same issue he had in Seattle, where it's like I'm not getting the ball, I gotta go, I got to go.
So is it Rudolph and not it's Rudolph, right?
I think it's
Mason
Rudolph.
Rudolph.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
Rudolph.
yeah.
It's Rudolph. My mistake. My
You
mistake.
good. You good. You good.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, but I guess they traded Pickens, not they traded to Dallas.
yeah,
Pickens. Yeah.
yeah. Pickens to Dallas for like second and third and lower draft picks, which doesn't make sense to me. You don't get anything to help you this year. So what are you doing?
I think they just want to get rid of him. It might be the attitude since they think they have their number one right now. Maybe they thought he wasn't the number one. But the question is, Dallas, what are you doing? Okay, so you got another receiver that did not really pan out in Pittsburgh, but now all of a sudden you're going to change of attitude when it comes to Dallas. The jury's still out on that one. Again, another Dallas situation. I guess they're like, well, we can fix him. We can make him better. And we'll see. I just don't. I do get it, but I don't from the standpoint of how are you going to make him or tell him that he needs to have a more a productive year when half of it is seems like it was mental
Yeah,
when he played when he wanted to play.
yeah. I get why Pittsburgh wanted to get rid of him. Maybe the rest of the league figured it out too, and like we're not going to give you much for him. I mean, you stuck with him, but Pittsburgh took what they could get, and maybe they know something Dallas doesn't know.
Not surprising.
Yeah. Same with Antonio. Remember Antonio Brown? And Pittsburgh was like, okay, we're done. And Antonio Brown really kind of contaminated every team he went to afterwards. And so maybe Pickens is the same dude. I don't know. I've enjoyed these playoffs, especially when we were in Las Vegas. Enjoyed these playoffs more than any playoff series that I have seen in a number of years. It just seems like the referees are letting the players play, and teams are deciding on the court, who's the best every night. So go to the Eastern Conference. Cleveland just made mincemeat of Miami. Indiana just disposed of Milwaukee. And so now you have Cleveland and Indiana. And Indiana, the 4th seed, shocking Cleveland. Now, you said this earlier this season, like, I was thinking that Cleveland needed to dial it down for the playoffs, but no, they may have, but Indiana has shocked them. Indiana is playing like they were playing at the end of last year when they made, big strides last year. They started off the season really slow, but they just started to gel during the end of the season, and they are playing their booties off at this particular point. And coming away with Cleveland, I expect them to get one, but when you can get two on the home court, you're in the driver's seat. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say I told you so because I'm from Ohio too.
Right, 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 right.
But the problem and Kenny Atkinson, first of all, has done a hell of a job for Cleveland. Okay, they have stepped up, but it just it's something about him. It was just like, and maybe Garland was hurt, so
Yeah,
Garland being down.
they did have injuries. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and I get that, but it's just something about it seemed like they was just flowing through, and like, oh yeah, we're cool, and I'm like, nah. And initially I said they would go as Donovan Mitchell go.
Yeah.
And I said, well, he had times of not showing up in the playoffs and need him to show some leadership. So the last game I stand corrected because he had like almost 48, something to that effect. He gave everything he had. Still wasn't enough because you had guys on the bench that were hurt. And kudos to Indiana. Indiana's playing just with a certain kind of flair and collectively
A
just
lot of
playing real
confidence.
well.
A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
confidence.
So you look at that, and kudos to Siakam. Siakam is showing a lot of leadership, and all across. And Halliburton,
Yes.
man,
Yeah.
I mean, they just playing strong and they play with they play quick. You know, they're all over the place. You know, when you play with them, they like to push the ball, they like to move. They're jittery, they're all over the place. And I thought that Cleveland would be able to use their size more to kind of contain them. They hustle for loose balls. They do all the little things.
My thing with Cleveland is that, and a number of teams in the playoffs, is that they're so in love with the 3-point shot that when they're not hitting them, they're not going to the basket. They just keep firing them off. And when you have two players that have, 50 shots, I'm talking about Cleveland. I'm like, come on now. I mean, you got to move the ball around. And so that's what I'm noticing. Let's go to Boston, New York. Of course, New York dismantles Detroit, winning that series 4-2. Boston wins against Orlando, but it was looking a little shaky with Boston, and they won 4-1. But now you have the Knicks, and I was yelling last night. The Knicks up 2-0 on the defending champions, and here again you had the Boston Celtics just throwing up threes and losing the same way they lost. They get a 20-point lead and lose two 20-point leads to the Knicks. It seemed like watching both games, like they just ran out of gas in the fourth quarter, and the Knicks just ran by them. And the Knicks played Knick basketball. And JB, man, crucial. I mean, these guys are playing like they're hungry, they want it. I'm glad I put that futures bet with the Knicks because you never know. Your thoughts on this, man?
No, I mean, I have to say, this is very perplexing. I mean, I thought Boston would be the team to beat. Hell, we thought Cleveland would be the second best team. But the Knicks, I mean, what can you say? Brunson is, I know he could play. He's really shown me a lot. I mean, I think he's a lot better than I thought he was. He's been stepping up, and I'm happy for him from that standpoint. And I always thought they were talent challenged, the Knicks. I'm saying I always thought they didn't have enough. But I mean, you got to give Tibbs is a little love, and just why they playing hard. I think it starts with with Brunson. I
Yeah.
think it does, and I think they go from there. And then you got Bridges, you got a lot of other things going on. But right now, hey, you cannot take away from what they're accomplishing. Up 2-0 on the defending champions.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can get lucky and win the next two, right? Or at least two more games. But right now, kudos to them because they're getting it done. And you know how I am. I've been talking stuff about the Knicks, but I got to take my hat off if I had one and talk about it. So the Knicks are doing their thing.
Two things I want to mention about Boston. I take nothing away from them winning the championship last year, but a lot of things kind of fell into place for them to win. Jimmy Butler got hurt. There were certain players on certain teams that they were playing against that got hurt. They weren't full strength, and they got it. They got it legit. But the thing that I thought about last night is that I remember the Bridges trade, and they traded, one of the Villanova guys to Minnesota. And one of the things I thought about is that maybe the Knicks need more defense. And you see Bridges closing out the games with great defensive plays at the end of the game, stealing the ball in both games. And I felt like he was a better defender than Dante at the time because, I love Dante's game. And I think he's doing a great job in Minnesota. But I always felt Bridges was a more all-around player that can give you defense when you need it and lock down some of the shooting guards and some of the point guards and some of the small forwards. So he really kind of stepped up to that. And I said that early when the trade happened, maybe they need more defense from that position than they already have. Your thoughts on that?
It's ironic that you mentioned this because I read an article where somebody was talking about the Lakers, and they're talking about how Dallas was horrible by making that trade for letting Luka go, and now you're saying that you thought the Knicks needed more defense. So we noticed that the Lakers got eliminated, but what we're seeing too that with these teams, it's not been offense; it's been the teams that play defense lately. Even when the point where Golden State won the first game when they beat Houston, but also when they have stepped up too and won the first game with Minnesota. You got to play defense, right? You got to play defense. LeBron, 40 years old, did some great things this year. Luka scored a bunch of points, but he can't change anybody, and they're at home. So these teams right now are playing defense. When you look at it from that standpoint, you look at Indiana. Indiana is going against Cleveland. Cleveland has all of the
I agree.
talent,
Yeah.
but Indiana is they're hustling. They're playing real hard, doing what they got to do. They're boxing out. They're getting the loose balls. They're playing defense. Defense does have a purpose when you get into the playoffs, particularly the higher level that you move up.
Let's go to the Western Conference. You had OKC who dismantled Memphis, and then you had Denver. Took them 7 games and got the Clippers. And Mongo Slade and Seldom Seen showed up, and this is what happens in the 7th game with Mongo Slade, aka James Harden. But now they're in the series. OKC got shocked by Denver because after Denver had that 7-game series, Denver came in, looked like they had the fresher legs. I don't know if OKC kind of thought that, hey, we can just show up and win, but they got the first game. And I always felt that, like, if you're not the team that has home court advantage, if you can get a split, you're doing good. It doesn't have to you don't have to get both games, but if you can get a split, you mission accomplished. So they have a split. OKC won. I mean, just really trashed Denver, and Denver looked like they just weren't even there. They were so tired after that win, and now the series is tied 1-1. Your thoughts on that series, man?
Yeah, I mean, we were watching the game, right? Watching the game in Vegas and watching, saying, man, can Denver win this? And
Yeah,
went back and forth. And I was told that there's no way in hell Denver gonna win. And I was like, okay. I said, all right, you just got to watch. And they survived. But then they come back in, and OKC is a very serious problem. They're a problem talent wise because they're young, very talented. They have pieces all over the board. Also have very nice bench talent, a lot of depth. So that they're a problem. But the one thing that a couple of things you don't count on is the major pieces of Denver, right? Murray comes to play. If you can get some other folks to play and step up, they're good. Gordon stepped his game up in
Gordon
game
stepped up
one.
big time. Yeah,
And you know, Chet Holmgren is still a work in progress, learning, very talented player for OKC, but the Joker put him on his back. Was it 42 and 22? My goodness. Joker is like, you know, I'm still a two-time MVP,
NBA
right?
MVP. Yeah,
You still know that, right? Yeah, and that's what he did. He showed you game one, you know.
right.
Now, yeah, I'm tired, but I think I want this one. And kudos to them because I thought they were done. I was like, oh, this might be a sweep. And they won the first game, and you know, granted, they got blew out the second game, but hey, they got split as you said, and they
Yeah,
have a split, and that does wonders. Now you get to go home and deal with some things or whatnot, or however the series works. But you technically have put yourself in a great position, and who knows? OKC's gonna have to earn it. Question is, can they keep that level of intensity that they had in game two all the way through with a veteran team that has already won the championship with some quality players, particularly a two-time MVP. So despite losing their coach and losing their GM right before the playoffs started, Denver will not go down without a fight.
yeah, yeah. This is where coaching, as a coach in the NBA, this is where you earn your salary. The regular season, you're throwing the balls out, you're making adjustments, you're trying to figure out who your team really is. But here's where JJ Redick, here's where you make your bones in the playoffs. You got to make the adjustments. You got to make them really quick. And I saw the LA Lakers in Minnesota where JJ Redick could not make the adjustments in time to help his team. And so Minnesota moves on. Golden State moves on against Houston in 7 games. And it makes me wonder because we said this when our classmate Chris was on, or I call him Cuddy. He want to be known as the baller. But anyway, I said that, Golden State needs to kind of win these games so they can save up some energy because this is going to be a long haul. And lo and behold, the chef is hurt. So he's going to be out for maybe a week. But this is where they get playoff Jimmy. And playoff Jimmy needs to show up. This is why they got him. He's that dog. They had a great game against Minnesota. They lost tonight against Minnesota, tying that. And like I said, it's a 7-game series. If you're the team that's not the team that has home court advantage. You want to split. You want to split. You want to win in their court. Golden State got it. Now they go back to Golden State, and who knows what happens. Hopefully Steph can get back. But I saw the game the other night when Golden State was winning against, Minnesota. Minnesota just had no answers. And you saw how I got a glimpse that maybe they just don't have enough. They got Edwards. Gobert disappeared. Again, he had that great game in the series against LA, and then he just disappears. And they can't, it's going to be a mismatch with him because he can't guard Draymond Green. Your thoughts on this series, man?
Yeah, well, kudos to Golden State, first of all, for surviving the Houston series, because there were a number of people that said there's no way in hell Golden State was going to win after they lost, back-to-back games.
Guarantee.
Yeah, exactly. Really. I'm telling you right now, they're going to get blown out. Okay, moving on. So now we're dealing with Minnesota, and Golden State won the first game, and now Minnesota came back strong. Yes, Steph Curry is out, maybe out game 3, game 4, right? But however, it's interesting. They can get him back. Hopefully, game 4 would be nice, if not game 5. But however it works, they still could be in the building to try to work it out. But I think it would be nice to see who else is going to try to step up. Now that they've had a game without Steph, now's an opportunity for them to show whether or not they can possibly win one game, with at least one game with him being down. And like you said, playoff Jimmy, I think they're going to have to go deeper in that bench and kind of try to match up, because
they went 12, I think 12 deep.
Yeah. I think the one thing that they showed you with the performance of the Buddy Hield in that game, that last game versus Houston, that you never know who it can be. And I think, I'm not sure if they can go deep as Trace Jackson, Trace Jackson coming out as well, Davis. I think they have to go deep. You got to play. Steve Kerr knows how this goes. He has to go deep, see who's on. The main thing that's really helping them, or will help them a little bit, if Peyton is healthy.
Yeah.
So Peyton the second is healthy. So we'll see. I mean, it's still open. No, they were not expected to get past Houston. They did that. And hey, you get a step back, anything's possible.
What really had me cracking up is you and your brother having a discussion, a heated discussion about the Houston Golden State series, and we all sat and watched the game in MGM. And Buddy Hield just went off. And every time Buddy Hield hit a shot, everybody was like, "Woo!" It was like he came out, and it was like he had an Oklahoma jersey on again, and, and he was just shooting the lights out, and there was nothing Houston could do about it. And one of the Thompson got tired of chasing Steph, and got a cramp, and I'm like, okay, he's not going to be able to guard him. But this should be an interesting series with Minnesota and Golden State, because you can see the matchup problems that Minnesota is going to have with Golden State, especially when they get Steph Curry back. That Jimmy said it best, like, man, it's so much harder winning the game without that guy, because they realize he's the best player on the team. And my father said this last night when I talked to him about this series. He said, that guy, he was talking about Steph Curry, plays the game the way it's supposed to be played. You're always supposed to be moving. And a lot of NBA players just stand in a spot. They're not moving. They're not getting themselves open. They're not going through screens. And if you have to guard him, you better eat your Wheaties and have a good night rest, because you got to chase him. And Thompson figured it out, along with Green. Jalen Green figured it out. It takes a lot of energy to keep up with Steph Curry.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's what he does. To me, I think that's what he shows, that he's taking his game to another level, where he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Before we knew, they talked about him changing the game with his shot, but his ability to go to the basket and just take advantage of situations depending on the what's going on in the scenario. That's what makes him great to me.
So he demands a double team. He demands.
Yeah. Well, you look at the last game when they played Houston, Game 7, and he knew they were double teaming, they were triple teaming him or whatever, and he never forced anything. Mm-hmm. He just moved the ball, and then of course he takes over in the fourth quarter to secure the victory. But that's a basketball player. We're so enamored and so caught up in modern day NBA basketball with how many points somebody scored, how many dunks, and what kind of flashy pass. When you don't really look at what a guy does, his hand was messed up and all kind of things going on with Curry. But you know what he did? He came out and he worked. He became a force inside his team doing other things. And that's how you play basketball. It's a thing called chemistry. That's how you win games. And when you have a superstar like that, that defaults, because you know it's like I could come out here and shoot all the shots in the world, nobody would say anything. But why would you do that when you know they're coming for you and they're double teaming you? Somebody's open. When you move the ball in basketball, when you get double teamed, somebody's open.
Yep.
And that was Buddy Hield. And that's how you play basketball. But of course, we live in a modern time. Everybody wants to hoopla and what you did and whatnot. And it's like, man, that's not, at the end of the day, you still have to play fundamental basketball if you want to win.
Okay. Earlier, folks, we mentioned we were in Las Vegas last weekend, Cinco de Mayo weekend. It was a lot of sports, a lot of fights, but we went to Mandalay Bay to watch the horses and put some money on the horses. I'm gonna let you take over because this is the horse guy. This is the guy who knows. He was making money for everybody. Guys were coming up, bartenders from different clubs, like, "Hey, what you got?" People that he didn't even know. What you got? He looked like he knew about the horses. The people that I don't even think you knew some of the people coming up like, what you got? You got your program out. You're making you're doing your ciphers and your gazintas and all this other stuff. Talk about the horse races.
Hey man, look, bro. Hey, like I said, I've been watching horse racing a long time. And I've always enjoyed the Kentucky Derby, the Triple Crown races. I also enjoyed the Breeders' Cup. Had an opportunity to go a few times to the Breeders' Cup. So I've always liked it since I was probably like about 14, man. That's when I started diving in. But it was all about the jockeys and the trainers and what they do and everything. And then after a while, you start to learn what trainers and what jockeys work together well together. And then you kind of look at the horses and you look at the bloodline. So this race is like anything else. Just a little information about the Kentucky Derby. And on the first weekend, the first Saturday in May, there's usually it rains that weekend in Kentucky. It's normal. There have been some instances where it's been dry, and when the track is dry, usually the fastest horses or the best horses usually run unencumbered. They just run, and they usually can get out in front and they win. It's simple. But sometimes, like this time, and when we were out in Vegas, in Kentucky, it was nasty. It was muddy. It was just nasty. And when that happens, that usually means that it's going to take a solid ride by a jockey because you got to deal with mud. The horses are kicking mud up in the face of the jockey. Your goggles are controlled or are blocked. There's a lot of stuff going on. Horses just run differently in the mud. So in order to win the race, at least get to the point where, as they say, down the stretch they come, right, with the last part of the race, it takes a special ride because it's just nasty. You don't know how these horses are going to run. So therefore, I'm always looking at jockeys and trainers, and I've been watching them for a long time. And sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. This past Saturday, we got a little lucky. So you have all these horses, 20-some horses, and you put down the bets. We bet on about 4 or 5 long shots. But there's one thing that you do what you call an exacta box, okay? So what our 5 horses, we took like a $2 exacta box. So basically, you bet $1 exacta box, 5 horses means all 5 horses, out of the 5 horses, only 2 had to come first and second. So you got a shot out of 5 horses, which we had, and only 2 had to come in first and second. So that's an exacta box. So I was looking at the things that were going on, and the favorite at the time was number 8 journalism. So we had to do that because we were journalists, so that made sense, right? So the number, it was 3-1 at the time, and it ran well. It's from the line of the famous horse that has won Curlin. So I said, yeah, okay, we got to do that. We got to throw that in there as one of the 5 horses. So we did that. So this is how this works. If you get the exact, so it's called $1 exacta box or $2 exacta box. So for every $2 that you bet, you get a certain number, right? So and you got two horses, so you get the odds if they come first and second. Anyway, we're watching this race. It's coming down the stretch, and the favorite journalism is running its tail off. It's running, it's coming, it's taking the lead. Some other horses are down, and it's 2 minutes of total excitement. Everybody losing their mind, and we're screaming, everybody's screaming. And all of a sudden, there's a horse, number 18, Sovereignty. And there's another jockey named Junior Alvarado who does real well. He's won the Derby before. One of the bartenders and a couple other people told me about that horse. So I threw it in the five, right? I threw it in there, and they came down the stretch, and there was another horse, I think it was number 3, that came down in third and was going right after him. The way the race ended, number 18 horse that we had and the number 8 horse, which is the favorite, came first, 1-2. So we win that. And then also, of course, last minute, I was talking to my brother Scotty, and I was like, I think I feel something. He goes, well, do it, do it. He goes in his pocket, and I said, I just go up to the gate, and I make another bet. And one of the bet I was to win on number 18, who won the race. So it was crazy. So when I looked at my pocket for my spending money, when I got back home, I think I had only spent like $40. So I made my money back when I carried out there. And I was like, yeah. But the way I am, when we go out there, people ask me about them. Of course, my crew with me, I make sure they get paid too. So everybody's giving me their money and betting, and everybody got paid. Did you get paid, Puma?
I got paid. I got paid. Never doubted you.
Good time though, bro. Good time.
Good time, good time in Vegas. We got to go back. We're looking to try to get back in September for the Canelo Crawford fight, so we can cover that fight because that's going to be a big weekend there. But it was my first time in Las Vegas. Had a ball. I'm telling you, Ice and his brother Scotty and James made the trip so much better than I thought it would be. A lot of laughter, a lot of brotherhood, and I know we're gonna kick up some more dust. When we get out there again, we're gonna kick up some more dust because there's a lot more to do out there. And I got to go back to Vegas. I got to get some of my money back. I got MGM. I'm coming after you. And then we had the Saturday night drops where a lot of people were drinking, a lot of people were falling out. So yeah, it's always a pleasure sharing a great road trip with some great people. And I want to thank you and your brothers for accepting me in the brotherhood and us having a great time. Any quick hitters, man?
Quick hitters, I was talking about the WNBA real quick. Just trying to figure out what are they doing. Here, I know they're preparing for the season, but it's almost as if they're trying. It's so much a little turmoil going on. Like we know about Caitlin Clark and how much people love her, but then that's not Paige Beckers. Is she good as she is? I'm like, who cares? You had a good year, even though you lost $20 million. You had a good year. Build on that. What are you doing? I mean, I'm just blown away by the fact that these secondary discussions are having about certain things when you finally seem like you have an uptick in this league, and you're still not happy. Some of the players are not still happy. Like I said before, I'll get off this real quick, that they said, well, we'll get what we want, then we're going to strike. Somebody said it best on a national TV show. I hope you don't strike. You have a work stoppage because you may not be back.
Yeah, you may not be back if you strike.
The NBA, contrary to thought, does not feel you like that. No. Not when you're losing $20 million. And it's not saying I'm sexist or nothing like that. It's just you, in order for them to really love you and put a bunch of money into your league, you have to make money. You got to bring money back in, not lose money. And it's just what it is. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, and it has nothing to do with fairness. It's just what it is. People are not really pumped. The people that are paying attention to the product, they love it, great. But there is a reason, and it's just facts. There's a reason why the WNBA plays in the spring.
Yeah. And if they go on strike, I don't even think people will notice it, to be honest with you. There's so many things going on in the spring outside of sports where people are outside, they're enjoying baseball season, they're enjoying other sports that are happening. I don't, they are not in a position to strike. Trust,
No,
they are not
yeah,
in a position to
it
strike.
would be to their detriment because if you were to put this same league, and it has nothing to do with what I like. What I love women's basketball. I used to cover the ABL with the Columbus Quest when they were before the WNBA. I used to cover that. And great players like the late great Nikki McCray. I mean, it was amazing basketball before it was switched over to WNBA. But the point of it is, if they were to switch over to the winter or the fall, you got college football, you got men's college basketball, women's college basketball, NFL football, right? Then the NBA would be going on too. Again, simply put, there is a reason why this league plays in the spring. It's their time. There's not a lot to compete with, and that's fine. They're able to play. Now they got the new 3-on-3 league too and everything too. I hope this continues to grow and the women can do whatever they want to, but you have to be very careful to not get beside yourself. Like, you're don't get too big for what's the phrase? Do not get too big for your britches.
Just, yeah.
Because you got to realize what you're doing and where your place is. And what I mean by that is, as far as the league is concerned, you still lost $20 million last year.
Draymond Green said it best. They don't love you like Kobe loved you. They love Kobe. You're going to find that out if you're going to strike. I got to give shout out to friends you introduced me to out there, Pepe and Francine. Shout out to them too. But I'm going to tease the boxing show. We're going to do the boxing show in a few minutes. And I'm going to tease that Pacquiao's coming back. Pacquiao's coming back for a world title shot, the WBC welterweight championship against Mario Boris. So that should be interesting. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but we're going to talk about the fights that we were able to witness in Las Vegas. There were one in Saudi Arabia, I think Saudi Arabia. There were a few of them in New York on Friday night, and also the Monster on Sunday, which was a very exciting fight. I'm glad he got an opportunity to fight in the States and people got to know him. But your last second shot, man.
Yeah, last second shot is just want to say I'm glad Puma got got off his chair and came on out to Vegas. Been trying to get him out there forever, and just trying to let him know that how we try to do it. Try to show him some love, and all I want to know: are you down with HHE?
Yes, indeed.
We'll leave that for another story.
That's our new fraternity. The new fraternity. I hope to get branded soon. HHE, established in 2008. Established. Yes, indeed. My last second shot. It was great to be in Vegas, especially with all the sports going around and being around so many sports fans. And of course, you got the betting and all that other stuff, but the excitement that is surrounding and how surrounding you and how, meeting all these great people in Las Vegas and laughing and it was a great time. It was a great time. I look forward to going back. You guys are going to be setting it up in September. I'm down. I'm already going to put my chips in. I'm even talking like I'm still in Vegas. I'm putting my chips in. Stay tuned for our boxing show, the Fight Game, where we'll talk about some of the bouts were really kind of trash. Carnelo and Scully, it's like Dancing with the Stars. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish. I do know, but mission accomplished. People got to see him in another land. So we'll talk about that, and we'll be back next week. Take care.